Hello viewers and welcome to yet another live-action commentated match of Warhammer 40,000 Conquest. My name is Mitch, and I am the Hive Tyrant. Today I'm pleased to bring you a game between two somewhat seldom played warlords. On the left we have a gentleman by the name of Per Pedersen piloting Nazdreg, the Ork faction warlord, and to the right we see none other than the Astra Militarum's own Colonel Straken, played by Alexander Cimadon, who is kind enough to provide me with this footage today. Our game is off to a start. To the left, we can see that Nazdreg possesses the initiative token. We saw his signature event, Bigga is Beta, wound, and put into play a copy of the Bad Dock at planet number 4. So it's got a damage token, but it also gains the benefit of 3 additional command icons, so it's sitting already at 4. We can see that nice alt-art Nazdreg there to the left, and in assessing our opening layout of planets, we've got Elowith as planet number 1, which allows you to tutor the top 3 cards of your deck for any one card that you'd like. Planet number 2 is going to be Ossus 4, the Steel 1 resource planet. Farron is going to be planet number 3, which allows you to rout a target non-warlord. Planet number 4 is Aatrox Prime, which bombards an adjacent planet or target HQ for 1 point of damage. And Yavharn is going to be planet number 5, which puts units into play directly into players' HQ, and they are given no choice in the matter. We saw to the right that Alexander put into play a copy of Ammo Depot. As soon as he hits 3 or fewer cards in hand, he'll be able to nicely draw himself an additional card, and of course that also counts as a deploy action. And the alt-art card train continues as at planet number 3, we see a Nazdreg's Flash Gits. It's a 2/4 with 1 command, and it can also serve to deal itself 1 damage as a cost paid to ready it. We see an Evil Sun's Warbiker put out to the right by Colonel Straken to planet number 3, tying command at that planet, and we see an Enraged Ork, very frustrating card, put out to planet number 1 by Nazdreg. So it's a 0/5 unit with Brutal, under normal circumstances very difficult to chew through. And of course, as soon as it starts taking damage, it attacks in return for an enormous amount. Granted, Nazdreg did not have the initiative token, normally something frustrating to see, but we actually see a copy of the Goff Big Choppa put into play on that Enraged Orc, so it immediately gets +2 attack and Armor Bane, which means that if it ends up taking 4 points of damage, that's a 6 attack Armor Bane swing, which has the ability to potentially bloody Colonel Straken there in a single swing outside of the lines of something like Suppressive Fire tapping out the Orc, or a Glorious Intervention being used to sacrifice an army unit to prevent an attack and then deal damage equal to that army unit's printed attack to target army unit. But we've got an Evil Sun's Warbiker at planet number 1, played by Alexander. He put out a copy of his signature attachment, Straken's Cunning, to that unit, so the Warbiker is... If there's no Warlord present, it'll be attacking for 3. If there is a Warlord present, it'll be attacking for a grand total of 5. And of course, as soon as that attachment leaves play, its controller ends up gaining 3 cards. So definitely not a bad effect. We've seen that Ammo Depot used. Rattling Deadeye sits at planet number 2. And where exactly are our Warlords going to be sent? Planet number 1 is definitely a risky proposition there for Colonel Straken. He could try to steal the initiative and potentially kill off that Enraged Orc in a single swing if Nazdreg does not touch down to that planet, but I could definitely see Straken try to go to maybe kill off that copy of Nazdreg's Flash Gits before that gets to be a big problem. His Evil Sun's Warbiker would be attacking for 4 if that is the case, or it looks as though he's actually trying to beat his opponent in regard to command. So Nazdreg goes to planet number 3, Colonel Straken instead goes to planet number 4. So Straken's able to beat that Bad Dock, and this might be a great opportunity for Nazdreg to either kill off that Evil Sun's Warbiker at planet number 3, or otherwise take a tremendous amount of damage directly to his face. But in regard to command struggles, as our opponents smack the table here, it's going to be breaking even at planet number 1. Planet 2 is going to be 2 resources to the right to our Colonel Straken player. Planet number 3 is going to be 2 resources to the left to Nazdreg. Planet number 4 is going to be 1 card, 1 resource to the right to Alexander, and Alexander actually plays a copy of the Emperor's Warrant. That's normally a very powerful event. He's not getting the full effect, it looks like, but he's able to exhaust that Enraged Orcs, and now he's going to be able to attack it for a grand total of 3, should he choose to do so. The The Emperor's Warrant is a pretty powerful event. Normally it lets you tap out a unit and then deal damage equal to that unit's attack, not its printed attack, but its full attack to another target unit, so that's great to get rid of units with like the flying keyword, because it's damaged through a card effect, not through an attack. And it looks as though we do not see a shield card used at that first planet, so the Enraged Orc takes 3 points of damage, and Alexander quite wisely decides to retreat with his... Or maybe he doesn't decide to retreat, but at the end of the combat round, he's certainly afforded the option to retreat, and if he does not move his evil... There we go. If he does not move his Evil Sun's Warbiker from that planet, he'll simply be destroyed, because the Enraged Orc would be attacking for 5 and have initiative. But Eluith's battle ability is going to afford Per the option of tutoring the top 3 cards of his deck for any one card that he'd like. Looks like he found something at least halfway appealing, and that's going to be 1 blue technology icon for Nazdreg. We're also going to be seeing Battle Erupt at planet number 3. And depending on who wins that battle, Farron's going to afford them the opportunity to pick and target an enemy unit to rout. It could be the Rattling Deadeye, it could be the Bad Doc, but let's see how things break down. So Nazdreg's Flash Gits takes a swing at the Evil Sun's Warbiker, and I'm sure to the dismay of Nazdreg there, the Warbiker, thanks to the No Mercy being discarded as shields, only takes a single point of damage, and now it's very ready to be able to attack back for 4. Kind of a curious choice there. We see the Nazdreg's Flash Gits, in my opinion, prematurely deal itself 1 point of damage in order to ready itself. The Evil Sun's Warbiker to the right takes a swing at Nazdreg for a grand total of 4, I believe. And are we going to see any okay? That's a grand total of 4 damage tokens, and now Nazdreg, with no Iridial on the board with which to heal, has already taken 4 points of damage. So let's see. Does the Evil Sun's Warbiker? No, okay. So Nazdreg takes an attack, and then he manages to outright destroy the Evil Sun's Warbiker, but there you go, he left himself completely open. I have no idea why Nazdreg attacked when the Nazdreg's Flash Gits had readied itself, and it was able to attack because Nazdreg has used up his combat turn. He's now exhausted. The Elysian Assault team that was put into play just has the opportunity to potentially go crazy. I mean, Nazdreg could take damage when Nazdreg's Flash Gits kills that Elysian Assault team. Okay, so no, there's not a second copy of the Elysian Assault team, but because Nazdreg had already attacked, that could have potentially been an opportunity for Nazdreg to be bloodied, so definitely wise under normal circumstances to keep your Warlord ready for as long as possible. But looks like Nazdreg is finally gone from that planet. He took 5 total points of damage. A rocket launcher made sure that that was not 2 points of damage he took there. That Rattling Deadeye ended up being... routed. The Bad Doc took 2 points of damage from Colonel Straken. Colonel Straken took 1 point of damage from the Bad Doc, and at the end of the combat round, the Bad Doc did retreat, but guess what? Aatrox Prime, oh, what up, HQ? So Nazdreg's HQ takes 1 point of damage. The Bad Doc that had tried to retreat there is going to be outright destroyed, it looks like, unless Nazdreg has an abundance of shield cards in his hand, but I can't imagine he's going to spend that to keep that unit alive. Looks like the Enraged Orc is at 4 points of damage. Nazdreg cutting it very, very close. He's only at 1 hit point remaining. And so that Bad Doc is going to be dead, and that HQ is very much worse for wear. Not only is Nazdreg in significant danger of being outright bloodied, because the Astra Militarum has, I'm sure, 2 other copies of Rattling Deadeye in his deck. He's presumably running Staging Ground, and really the earliest instance that Nazdreg leaves himself at all vulnerable, that's going to be a bloodied Warlord, and then given the, existence of preemptive barrage and effects like that, we could potentially see a game over via Warlord assassination. So I'll be curious to see how things break down here, but we have an HQ phase come and go. We've got a new 5th planet, which is going to be Barless. It's worth 2 cards. It elicits a random card discard. The copy of Nazdreg's Flash Gits are the only unit on the board. They're sitting there at planet 2, and wherever Straken and wherever Nazdreg go, they've got quite the contingent of units alongside them. Straken's got that Deadeye, which is going to show up and not be able to do anything during ranged skirmish round. That Evil Sun's Warbiker could potentially be attacking for 5, but it's going to show up exhausted. And that, that Enraged Orc that's a 6 attack Armorbane unit right now, that's going to be showing up exhausted too, so that's going to be absolutely trivial to destroy. Even something along the lines of a smash and bash wouldn't be able to necessarily ready the enraged orc because he would risk killing it. But a copy of Death Skull Ludas touches down on the third planet to command 2 attack, 3 hit points. As soon as it deals damage to an enemy unit via an attack, you can pick and choose a support to destroy. And speaking of supports, looks like to the right we see a copy of Staging Ground there for Alexander. He could drop Rattling Deadeyes into play with which to assassinate that enraged orc, or Bloody Nazdreg, and we see a second copy of the Goth Big Choppa affixed to the Nazdreg's Flash Git. So it looks like they've swapped out their bolter for a big-ass axe, and they're now a 4-attack, 4-hit point armor-bane unit that can deal itself 1 damage in order to ready itself, and if Nazdreg happens to grace that unit with his presence, then they additionally gain Brutal, and that unit already has a single point of damage on it. So let's see what Straken can do to try and win this game. The initiative is now in Alexander's hands. Note that Nazdreg only has 1 blue technology icon, so that means he's not going to be able to see a victory until our current planet number 4, which is Yvarn, but that blue technology icon is not very useful because we don't see additional icons of that nature until planets 3 and 4, and we see red material icons on planets 2, 3, 4, so needless to say, planet number 4 is going to be critically important here. I can't imagine either of these players are really going to be excited to throw their warlords down further the line than that. It looks as though Nazdreg had passed, and our final round is going to be a Rattling Deadeye to planet number 5 there. There's no units present at planet number 1. That could be an interesting opportunity for Alexander to Staging Ground a 1 or 2 cost unit into play just to win Ossus 4, and then basically steal a resource from his opponent, but we'll have to see if Nazdreg ends up with any resources here. I imagine he will, but all these choices are going to come down to what Straken does. It's going to be very dangerous for Straken to go to planet number 2. I could definitely see planet number 3, or okay, it looks like he ends up going to planet number 4. So he's dropping off all these dudes to basically the victory condition planet. But the problem here is if there's, so Nazdreg shows up to planet number 2, he's going to bring his enraged orc along, and because Farron is going to allow him the opportunity to rout a target unit, I can only imagine that's going to be the potentially 5-attack Evil Sun's Warbiker there at planet number 4 that ends up routed to Alexander's HQ. But no players win command on planet number 1. Planet number 2 is going to be 2 resources to the left to Nazdreg. Planet number 3 is going to be 1 card and 1 resource to the left to Nazdreg. Planet number 4 is going to be 1 resource to Alexander, and planet number 5 is going to be 2 cards to Alexander. Planet number 1, it looks like, vanishes into the mist, into the planetary galactic void, or the solar system void. So it leaves the Traxxas sector. Neither player ends up capturing it. And now, are we going to see anything at planet number 2? The initiative is going to be in the possession of Nazdreg because there's no enemy warlord. I'm trying to think. We could see something like a Rattling Deadeye touchdown on that planet, potentially fire during the ranged skirmish round, potentially just a Bloody Nazdreg if Nazdreg does not happen to have a shield card. But it's not looking as though Alexander maybe has a Rattling Deadeye. So our players are taking a moment to discuss some of the possibilities here, how the Goth Big Choppa affects things, I believe, but that's definitely a nasty couple of units, and if the enraged orcs sitting there at that planet with the Nazdreg's Flash Gits can block Alexander from winning a battle during the following round there at Farron, that's going to be incredibly nasty for him, just because he's setting himself up for the victory condition, and he's, kind of preventing that of his opponent. But, of course, to no one's surprise, we see that Evil Sun's Warbiker banished from planet number 4, and now we're going to see a battle at planet number 4, so that's going to be Yvarn. It would allow players to put a unit into play, but it looks as though Alexander's not deciding to activate that battle ability, so we've got an HQ phase coming up. It's going to be 4 resources and 2 cards for each of our players here, and then we're going to see a brand new 5th planet as well. Very nice artwork going on here. Looks like a Commissar, maybe Ibram Gaunt there to the right for Alexander, and then to the left, I don't know if that's Warboss Gazskull or whomever it is, but the Codex Orc. And planet number 5, very interesting there, is going to be Taurus. So, planet 5 is further down the line than our victory condition. That means it would be decent for Nazdreg to go to, because he doesn't happen to have any units in his HQ, but Straken's unlikely to want to drop off his Warbiker at planet number 5, where it's not going to be able to deal damage, it's not going to be able to leave play, and generate him additional cards. Taurus is the planet that rewards players for keeping their unit count lower than that of their opponent. At the present moment, we see 4 units for Nazdreg, and we see 4 units for Alexander. Alexander has twice as many resources, though, as does Per, because 8 is twice as much as 4. Mathematics complete. So, Nazdreg has the initiative token, and it looks as though he's going to be spending some of his resource tokens for another copy of the Death Skull Ludas, which, that was interesting. It looked like he only paid 2 tokens, but it must have been 4. So the Death Skull Ludas 4-cost Orc unit, touchdown at planet number 4, 2 commands, trumps 1 command, and then the Tallarn Raiders are put out at planet number 5. So, interesting choice there. I suppose those tokens must be stacked. We also see a copy of the Evil Sun's Warbiker played by Nazdreg to planet number 3, so that's going to tie command at planet number 3, and they're potentially attacking for 4. So Straken, it's looking as though things are pretty difficult for him. If he touches down on planet number 1, he's risking his Warlord being bloodied because of that enraged Orc. If he goes to planet number 2, he risks either his ammo depot or his staging ground being destroyed because of the Death Skull Ludas. Same thing goes for planet number 4, and planet number 4 means he drops a unit off that's further down than his victory condition. And then planet number 5, which is Taurus, is a bit of a gamble for cards and resources, but again, he'd be losing his Warbiker, and that leaving play would be 3 cards for him. But Snakebite Thug at planet number 2 and a Rattling Deadeye at planet number 2. So I'll be curious to see if this is maybe where Straken makes his stand, just to prevent his opponent from getting some of these blue tech planets and to try to kill off some units. I cannot for the life of me remember if the Rattling Deadeye is a soldier or not, but whenever Straken goes to a planet, all soldiers are going to be attacking for an additional 1 as well, and warriors as well, like the Snakebite Thug, that Evil Sun's Warbiker. All of those are warrior units, so that Warbiker could actually be attacking for 6. But let's see, where are we going to see our Warlord sent? Seems as though Alexander uses his ammo depot with which to draw an additional card. He has passed, that means both players have passed, and it's time to pick where they want to send their forces. Nazdreg, I would not be surprised to have him show up at... God, it's getting really difficult for him. Planet number 1 is the only place where he's guaranteed to not get attacked. Like if he goes to planet number 5, he could take a swing at the Tallarn Raiders, but if the Tallarn Raiders are able to survive, they could potentially bloody him, and then he would lose that battle. But it looks as though Straken's going to go to planet number 2, and Nazdreg is going to go to planet number 4. So the risky thing about that is Nazdreg is potentially going to get shot during the ranged skirmish round. But planet number 1 is 2 resources for Nazdreg. Planet number 2 is going to be 1 card, 1 resource for Alexander. Planet number 3 is a tie. Planet number 4 is going to be 2 cards for Nazdreg. Planet number 5 is going to be 1 resource and 1 card for provisioner of this footage, Alexander. So it looks like Alexander's got a mitt full of cards. Nazdreg's got 4 or 5 of his own, maybe 2 or 3 resource tokens, depending on stack to the left there for Nazdreg. And then to the right, we can see Alexander's got something along the lines of 6 resources. So we're about to enter combat. Theron, again, if our Orc player wins, looks like, yeah, that Rattling Deadeye is going to be routed from Nazdreg's planet. So definitely not a bad move. That means Nazdreg's not going to be able to just get shot and potentially bloodied if our Orc player does not have shield cards, but quite curiously, he decided to get rid of that Rattling Deadeye as opposed to the Snakebite Thug at planet number 2. So I wonder if that's telling in regard to what shields Nazdreg may have in hands. I'm sure a more experienced and seasoned player than I could have gathered quite a bit of information from that move. But regardless, we've got combat about to erupt at planet number 2. This could potentially be another opportunity for Aatrox Prime to fire into Nazdreg's HQ, but note, Nazdreg will not be in the HQ when he potentially takes a point of damage. It looks like we actually see a Squigify played. It seems as though that's going to be the Rattling Deadeye targeted with that effect. That's a very curious choice. Squigify blanks the text box of units, but the Rattling Deadeye, I guess, just loses its ranged keyword. It normally sets attack value at 1, so the Rattling Deadeye is just going to be attacking for 1 during a conventional game round, I suppose. That Death Skull Ludas, because, well, I guess Straken has the initiative token. We could see the Snakebite Thug attack for 4, kill the Ludas. But what are we going to see? We see a Straken's Command Squad staging grounded into play. That's going to be attacking for 3. We end up seeing a preemptive barrage. That's kind of a curious choice. It looks as though it targets maybe Straken and the Rattling Deadeye and the Straken's Command Squad. And that's going to be a grand total of, I suppose, 1 and then 4 damage between those 2 units. So interesting. Looks like Aatrox Prime fires into the HQ of Nazdreg there to the left. That's going to be that copy of Enraged Orc and that Goff Big Choppa gone. And that's going to be another point of damage onto those Nazdreg's Flash Gits. As soon as they take 1 additional point of damage, they're no longer going to be able to bloody themselves. So that was a very interesting choice there from Straken. I guess Straken must have been worried about, like, God, I don't know, a double shield card, and then weird. But anyway, I guess he really wanted to hold on to that ammo depot and a staging ground, but I guess Nazdreg must have triggered Barless, because we see Alexander to the right randomly discard a card, and that's going to be Nazdreg back in the HQ. He's got 1 hit point left. And now, I suppose, as our video freaks out for a sec, we see, HQ phase come and go. So that's going to be 4 resources and 2 cards for each of our players. Looks like there's a tremendous amount of combat units here now sitting at the first planet, because Farron was captured by Nazdreg. That's going to be 1 red and 1 blue command icon, planet type icon for him. To the right, we see Alexander with the initiative token deploy a Catachan outpost. That's potentially going to be pretty nasty and affording the opportunity for either of those Rattling Deadeyes at planet number 1 or planet number 2 to attack for a grand total of 3 during the ranged skirmish. So that's going to make it absolutely trivial to bloody Nazdreg if he goes to either of those planets. Nazdreg is going to be depositing a copy of the Nazdreg's Flash Gits wherever it is that he goes. We could see victory for... Gosh, I guess we won't see a victory for Straken until the very last planet there, planet number 4. But a Weird Boy Maniac, interestingly, goes to Aatrox Prime there, our first planet. So that's going to be 1 damage to each of those units. The Evil Sun's Warbiker, the Snakebite Thug, and Colonel Straken's Command Squad. The Rattling Deadeye was outright killed. Planet number 2 looks like we see 2 individual copies of the Shoot-'em-Mob put out to play by Alexander. I can't for the life of me remember if the Evil Sun's Warbiker was there at planet number 2 by Nazdreg. Looks as though Nazdreg has presumably passed. The Shoot-'em-Mob at planet number 2 gets a copy of the rocket launch. A very interesting play there by Colonel Straken. So that is now a 2 attack unit during the ranged phase. If we want to make sure that the Evil Sun's Warbiker dies, we could see the Catachan outpost augment that Shoot-'em-Mob to attack for 4. The initiative is in the hands of Alexander, remember. So we could see the Snakebite Thug at planet number 1. Like, let's say if Straken goes to planet number 1, the Snakebite Thug could potentially attack with Straken with the Catachan outpost for 6 against that Weird Boy Maniac, and that means unless we've got the Cyborg body there sitting in the hand of our Orc player, note there's no custom field generator, then the Weird Boy Maniac could be killed in a single swing, and then we could see a Shoot-'em-Mob and a ranged Shoot-'em-Mob kill off that Evil Sun's Warbiker if Nazdreg were to go and elicit a battle at planet number 2. Nazdreg goes to planet number 5, and that's pretty interesting. That's going to be dropping off that copy of Nazdreg's flash kits, but the Tallarn Raiders is now sitting there, and if Nazdreg gets his attack shielded against, the Tallarn Raiders could potentially bloody him, especially considering there's a goddamn Catachan outpost sitting right there, and a staging ground sitting right there. So that is not looking good for Nazdreg, but planet number 1, that's going to be 1 card, 1 resource for Alexander, who did send Straken to planet number 1. Planet number 2 is going to be 1 resource for Alexander. Planet 3 is 2 cards for Nazdreg. Planet number 4 is going to be 1 card, 1 resource there to the left for Nazdreg. So, battle at planet number 1. What's going on? We've got a lot of units there. The 4-3 Snakebite Thug. We've got the 3-1 Straken's dudes. Evil Sun's Warpiker takes a swing for, I guess, just 6 base. No need to do Catachan Outpost when you've got that ridiculousness. So the Weird Boy Maniac is killed. Looks as though Aatrox Prime takes a shot at the adjacent planet Yvarn, and that's going to be 1 point of damage dealt out to the Evil Sun's Warbiker there. That is going to be a tremendous number of units entering Straken's HQ. And then we're also going to see battle take place at planet number 5. So either Nazdreg is going to retreat, or my gut is telling me he is going to get bloodied. But let's see what happens here. Either Straken retreats, or the Tallarn Raiders and whatever other unit are going to just blow up the Nazdreg's flash kits, are my assumption, because even if Nazdreg leaves, the Tallarn Raiders can still attack for 2, thanks to the outpost, and then even if the Nazdreg's flash kits attack, kill the Tallarn Raiders, we could see a staging ground dropped into play and kill those off. But what exactly are we going to see? We've got that paddle at our last planet. Looks like our players are discussing something or other, but let's see it. I guess Alexander's only got 1 red and 1 blue icon, so he's not going to be able to win the game, like I said, until our soon-to-be 3rd planet, Taurus. So, I believe the flash kits dealt themselves 1 damage in order to ready, and then the Tallarn Raiders are destroyed, but there we go. Staging ground, let's see it. Mystic Warden, for the cost of 0, is a 2-2, and there we see that Catachan Outpost, so it's going to be attacking for 4, and let's see it. Let's... Oh, that was such an accusatory, angry-looking finger there. But in any case, Mystic Warden takes a swing, and Nazdreg is bloodied. So Nazdreg is going to be ejected from that planet. The initiative token still remains in the hands of Nazdreg, and now Nazdreg's flash kits are still going to be able to attack for 4 and kill off that copy of the Mystic Warden. The Mystic Warden is a psyker, it's not a soldier, so we're not going to be able to see like an Elysian assault team win the day here, and I would imagine that, let's see, yeah, Nazdreg has got far fewer units than does Colonel Straken, so it's looking as though this is going to be a fantastic opportunity for Nazdreg to either win 3 cards or 3 resources, and I guess at the moment Nazdreg is just sitting at 2-5, and with all these ranged units about the board, that's a pretty dangerous proposition there. Like Planet Yvarn is going to be incredibly dangerous for Nazdreg to go, because he could get assassinated during the ranged skirmish round, or a preemptive barrage could be a complete nightmare, but it looks as though that Mystic Warden is handily... Well, the Mystic Warden is retreated, but it's going to be dying at the end of combat. So Taurus is activated by Nazdreg. That's going to be 3 resources for him. So let's hope that Mystic Warden is discarded, because that's it's kind of a Gift of Isha-esque type effect. It's only around for a limited amount of time if it actually participates in a battle. But we've got our new planet, number 1, which is Yvarn. The initiative token goes over to Nazdreg. There's no new planet. Both of our players acquire 4 additional resource tokens and 2 cards. So all of these units are going to be readying. Looks like that Mystic Warden is still in play. Hopefully that gets remembered before long. But it's going to be Nazdreg's opportunity to do the initiative thing. All he's got is an Evil Sun's Warbiker at planet number 1, but that is going to be annihilated by either the Rattling Deadeye or the 2-attack ranged Shoot-a-Mob. We see a copy of Daka go out, so that's going to mean Nazdreg exhausts, and that's going to be 1 point of damage to every single unit in play. So that's potentially killing off a lot of Orks, and that is potentially killing off a lot of AM units as well. So that's potentially, let's see, but that could kill off the Evil Sun's Warbiker, that could kill off the Nazdreg's Flash Gits. So, okay, so that's a Warbiker dead, that's the Flash Gits dead, that's a few of the different units controlled by Alexander, those Rattling Deadeyes, those Shoot-a-Mobs. Looks like the board is just getting, like, expunged of units here. But I don't know, I mean, that was certainly a fancy effect for our Orc player to use, but now Nazdreg only has 4 hit points left. He's going to be showing up to whatever planet he goes to exhausted, and that means we could see Staging Ground plus Catachan Outpost drop, God, I don't know, a Snakebite Thug into play, plus the Outpost means it's attacking for 5, so that may have been a very poor life choice there by Nazdreg, but let's see how things kind of break down here. That Mystic Warden to the right, still in play. Boo, I wish it would leave. But it's going to be Alexander's opportunity to play. He's got like 8 resource tokens. I think Nazdreg still has something along the lines of 5 or maybe 6. But what are we going to see? Looks like there's another Catachan Outpost in Straken's hand that would all but seal the deal in regard to killing off Nazdreg. So there we go. We see that second copy of Catachan Outpost. Now I think it's just going to be of the paramount importance that those Death Skull Ludas are not allowed to, let one of those supports get destroyed. But Snakebite Thug put out at planet number 1 by Nazdreg. There are 3-4, and we see a Straken's Command Squad. They themselves are a 2-2. I believe a copy of Straken's Command Squad was destroyed earlier by that Daka, but I will be damned if I don't see a Guardsman token in play. So a little bit of a suboptimal play there, but regardless, we also see a copy of the Evil Sun's Warbiker touchdown on planet number 1, and that's pretty dangerous because our Orc player has the initiative of that planet. Granted, Straken could steal it, and we see a copy of the Goff Boys put to planet number 1. They could attack for 3-4 with Straken, but we might see something like a preemptive barrage, which could allow Straken to quite handily wreck the Orcs at planet number 1, but if he doesn't kill Nazdreg, note, since Nazdreg has the initiative, he could retreat. Well, God, I guess he's exhausted, so he's not going to be able to retreat, so things are looking all the way bad for Nazdreg. He might have goofed big time, but copy of Mystic Warden to planet number 3, copy of Talon Raiders to planet number 2. We see Ammo Depot activate to afford Alexander an additional card, hopefully something useful during combat, maybe something along the lines of a preemptive barrage or something like that. I'll be quite curious to see where exactly Colonel Straken goes. Who knows what's going to happen here, but Yvarn, it's going to be very important that Straken wins that planet. I guess his opponent only has 1 blue and 1 red, so he doesn't need to win a planet until our last, but let's see if he can seal the deal here and kill Nazdreg. Where's Straken going to go? Straken should not have that Mystic Warden with him. He, at least, unless I miss something, and then the Snakebite Thug is going to be following Straken as well. Nazdreg is going to be showing up alone, but he's incredibly vulnerable, and he's not going to be able to have the opportunity to retreat. So as soon as an Orc takes an attack, like at planet number 2, let's say Nazdreg shows up there, if Snakebite Thug takes a swing, even without shields, we could see Staging Ground put a unit into play and then double Catachan Outpost and potentially kill Nazdreg. So let's hope for Nazdreg's sake he's got a 2 shield card or a 3 shield card. Nazdreg goes to planet number 1, planet number 1, and Straken goes to planet number 3. So very interesting there. I guess Straken was trying to block off Taurus, his opponent, from winning additional cards and resources, but planet number 1 is going to be 1 resource for Nazdreg. Planet number 2 is going to be 2 cards for Nazdreg. Planet number 3 is going to be 1 card, 1 resource to the right for Alexander. Curiously, we've not seen a single Rogue Trader or Void Pirate this entire video. Very interesting indeed. Nazdreg is going to have initiative at the first planet, and he's up against the likes of a 3-2 Goff Boys and a 2-2 Guardsman token. So what exactly are we going to see? That Guardsman now has the opportunity to attack. Is it going to swing for 6 and potentially kill Nazdreg? What exactly is going to happen? I mean, the Orks... Maybe he has suppressive fire. The Snakebite Thug is around. We see both copies of Catachan Outpost activate on the Straken's command. Oh my god! We see a copy of 2 arms, and that means that Straken's command squad is attacking for a grand total of 8. That's going to be directly to Nazdreg's face. At that point, there is absolutely nothing that Nazdreg can do. And there we go. So good game. Very well played by both of our players. Thank you to Alexander for providing me with this footage. Congratulations to him for winning. And although I'm sure I'm butchering the name, thank you very much to Per Pedersen for allowing me to just, check out this spectacular game. Looks like 3 copies of the Mechaniac Repair Crew there sitting to the left in Nazdreg's hand. He did have a copy of Squigify, but presumably not enough resources to play it, and he had a copy of, his signature attachment there, the Cyborg Body, to discard for 3 shields, but 8 minus 3 is still 5, and 5 points of damage very much equals a destroyed Nazdreg. But with all that said, if you enjoyed this video, be sure to hit that like button and subscribe to my channel if you've not done so already, or if you are already subscribed, as ever, you're always encouraged to share this content, as the more views, the more likes these videos receive, the more subscriptions my channel incurs. All that serves to increase my rank in YouTube search rankings. More people are going to be exposed to these videos. More people will see Conquest. They might give it a try. They might join our community. And of course, all together we continue to send the message to Fantasy Flight Games to continue to support this fantastic product. If at any point you'd like to get in touch with me, I'd encourage you to do so through Facebook or on Twitter. I'm always on the lookout for games to spectate, commentate, and record, whether they be Octagon, whether you'd like to pull an Alexander and send me live action footage of your own. I'd be absolutely honored to commentate that and host it on my channel. If at any point you feel so inclined to help support the Hive Tyrant, I'd also be honored were you to check out my Patreon, as even $1 or $2 donated on a strictly monthly basis helps me to recover some of my file hosting and operating expenses. But as always, thank you so much for watching, thank you for checking out another spectacular video, and as ever, be sure to check back in again soon for ever more Conquest LCG content to come.